Peace, infinite waters diving deep once again. The normal life, the proper way, the right way. Be like me, obey. And for me on my journey, I've realized you become empowered when you realize that you don't have to compete with someone else. You don't have to fight for your slice of cake. And it's amazing, so many of us in our society, we always want to fit in. No one wants to be alone. And for me, I've found my greatest strength in realizing that every single human being on this planet is having a unique experience. And it's amazing because one question I've always had in the back of my mind is, why are human beings being turned into slaves? Because when I walk around, I realize something is wrong. And a lot of people realize this. They can see through the Maya, the illusion, and they realize we are not supposed to be living like this. Everything is wrong. And it's amazing because a lot of us, we just want to hurry to get things done. But a lot of us, we don't even realize that many of us, we're out of tune with ourselves. We're externalizing the whole time. And I just really realized that we are so much more and we deserve so much more on the planet. And it's amazing because when you look around, many of us, we're living like rats. We're just rushing around, but many people in the process, they are out of sync with nature, therefore they're out of sync with themselves. More so, the biggest question I had was, why are we being conditioned and programmed to become slaves? Where does this all begin? And you have a child, you want the best for your child. You send them to school, they get a job, they get married, they become in debt. They've got these loans they have to pay back. And I ask myself, is this how we're supposed to be living on planet Earth? And it's just amazing because as I see it, many of us, we're living in distraction 24/7. Therefore, it's very hard to decipher. It's very hard to see what's what. And many of us, we're living in perpetual fear, status anxiety. And the more and more, when I realize that human beings, we're almost in one giant experiment. And for me, when I realized that the only way to counteract this is to not give your energy to it. Because resistance makes stronger. A lot of people want to fight it. Therefore, they give it more power. But for me, on my journey, I found it empowering to realize that there's always another way. You don't have to become an automaton. You don't have to become a drone. You don't have to think like your next door neighbor. You don't have to dress like whatever fashion theme is in style. We can actually keep our own authenticity. And it's just amazing because a lot of us, we feel that if we have a qualification, then we feel more superior to someone else who doesn't have it. Not realizing that all of us on this planet are slaves, many of us. And for me, when I realized I was a slave, then you become a master. And we all should become masters because essentially there is no authority apart from nature. We don't have to go to a guru to find enlightenment because enlightenment is knowing how much you don't know. And for me, it's just amazing because a lot of the times I feel that we have to take things with a pinch of salt, preferably sea salt. And on my journey, I've realized that becoming lighter is the only way to fly. And there's so much tension that we carry around with ourselves on a day-to-day basis because we want to fit in so much to a society which has already hit the iceberg. It's already on its last stand. It's already on its last legs. Yet many of us, we're still clinging to this dying system. And for me, it was all about not being in fear. Okay, but how are you going to make money? How are you going to survive? And for me, all of that has been provided for because abundance is our natural state. Essentially, for me, what I realized was once you know thyself, then essentially everything falls into alignment. And that's one of the biggest things, because when we're going around everywhere, everything is to take us outside of ourselves. Even if you are praying to this deity, you're externalizing your power, not realizing that we are part of the fabric of everything around us. So therefore, in honoring something outside of myself, I'm actually honoring myself. And when we watch television, which tells lies to your vision, when I actually remove that from my reality, I just realized, okay, that's it. Whatever you focus on will multiply. If you focus on fear, then your fear will grow. It will essentially become uncontrollable. And that's how many of us are living on this planet. We're just living in this conveyor belt system, this conveyor belt lifestyle. And guess what? If you ask a question, then you're the crazy one. Shut up, shut up. And for me, I realized on my journey that there's nothing wrong with you. Because when we talk of deception on a grand scale, there's just an infinite amount of deception around at the moment. That's always been around. But essentially, it's not even a matter of becoming bitter and angry. It's essentially about realizing that we always are the ones who are putting ourselves in certain environments based on our own energetic vibration. Everything in this reality is based on resonance. And for me, I just realized when you start connecting with like minds, beautiful, so many beautiful spirits out there, then essentially you can create your own network. And for me, that's how I've realized it, that there is no one reality. That's the whole problem with humanity. That's why many of us, we've lost our hair, we've lost our marbles, because we're trying to squeeze ourselves into this one reality where everyone thinks the same, feels the same, dresses the same, laughs to the same thing, has the same reaction. And it's never like that, because essentially, ultimately, we live and exist within our minds. And for me, on my journey, I've realized how every single human being on this planet is their own planet. They are their own universe. And we must always keep our authenticity. We must always keep our individuality and realize that who has taken away your self-esteem? Who has taken away your confidence? Who has told you that you can't become greater? And when I'm asking myself all of these questions, I realize, okay, yes, the television has told me what I can and can't do. But at the same time, it only works if I accept it into my reality. And for me, that was the most empowering thing I realized, is that nobody comes into our reality without an invitation. No belief system comes into our reality without an invitation. We have to accept the world we choose to live in. And I realized on my journey, I'm not going to accept living in a conveyor belt society where I'm just going to become a robot. And yes, you're going to have a lot of opposition. I've had it. I'm dealing with it every day, because a lot of us, many people who cannot see the bigger picture, will want us to become like them and just really not question, not have any unique ideas, not have any originality. That's it. Originality. To take your originality away. And for me, I've just realized we all came here into this dimension, into Earth, to really have the most expansive state of living possible. Why are so many people on drugs, addicted to foods which kill them, living in conditions which threaten their own life? We have all of these vices, and for me that's just a clear indication that many of us on a subconscious level, we know that the life we're living is only leading to the slaughterhouse, and that is the so-called normal life. So what has the normal life done for us? And for me on my journey, I realized that I've never wanted to be normal, because I realized that nobody is normal. When you actually lose your originality, your individuality, then that's what we call normal, because then it's almost like you're on standby or you're on sleep mode. And when you wake up, you're going to get the biggest shock of your life. I've had it. There is something which is so powerful about a human being, and that's why all of these distractions are around, to take you out of your element. And even what the so-called powers that be, I always say we are the powers that be. Embrace your magnificent nature. Even what they know is only a drop in the ocean in terms of what is really available, because there is only infinite amount of information in this realm. So therefore we can only become greater every single day. And for me on my journey, I've questioned myself with what, where, why, the W's, the 3 W's. And when I ask myself, what is stopping you from reaching your full potential? And when I get the answer, I realize it's my belief system. Many of us, we believe that we have to struggle to make it. And for me, I realize, don't die trying to make it. Because it's like, if you look at any professional in their field, the less effort they use, the better their performance becomes. And we have it the other way around in this society, because we're using all of this effort. Many people, their face is so hard, it's so locked in, yet at the same time, we're not even at our medium performance, because we're putting in too much effort. When really, when you are fluid, everything should be flowing naturally. And for me, that's how I view life. Everything should be very smooth. And when we realize that many of us, we have a sickness on the planet. And that's one of the biggest things I had to realize on my journey, is that we are sick. And when you realize that, then you dive to the core to obtain the cure. But the cure is not going to come from out there, not from your television, your media. Many of us on the planet, we are addicted to fear. Therefore, we want a blockbuster. We want aliens who are coming to invade us. I would love if the aliens came. I would have some tea with them, have some orange juice with them, if they drank that, because then it would be wonderful. But when I realize that the true aliens are right here on the planet, every day I walk down the street, I'm seeing them. These are the ones who have become soulless. They have detached themselves from Mother Nature. They've become mindless drones. And essentially these beings have to get into tune with nature. Even if you look at what is turning the human being into a slave. Even if you look at hospital birth, as soon as a child is born, what happens? They cut off the umbilical cord, therefore severing the connection between the baby and the mother. So already before we've even had our first few years, we've already been in a state of trauma. And it's amazing because there are alternatives. For instance, In India, they have the lotus birth, where they actually keep the umbilical cord attached to the baby for a couple of days. So when you look at all of these things, for me, I just realized that a normal life is boring. And we are so much more. We deserve so much more. And when people actually tap into their true potential, they can actually free their mind, and they can begin to live in abundance and live free, realizing that we are essentially creating our reality. Infinite waters, diving deep once again. A normal life is boring. I'm not going to perpetuate because there's normal and there's natural. Many of us, we're living a normal life, but is it natural? That's the question. Infinite waters in front of the sunshine, diving deep once again. Stay well, stay healthy. Peace.